All right, howdy y'all. This is my audience for my persuasive speech on nuclear energy. I got a couple friends here on the phone. Now, by show of hands, how many of y'all would want to use an energy source that emits 40 times less carbon than the leading energy source of the United States, natural gas? And this energy source also has 0 deaths associated with air pollution, and it produces 300 times less material waste than solar panels. Wow, y'all are all raising your hands. That's great. Y'all came to the right place. Now, I'll talk about what energy source this is a little bit later in the speech, but first, let me tell y'all, there's a huge need for a new main source of energy in the United States. According to the Energy Information Administration, in February of 2024, fossil fuels provided for 60% of the US's energy, but for 74% of the total carbon emissions and air pollution. Now, I've done extensive research on the topic of energy in the United States, and I'll start by going a little bit more in depth on why fossil fuels are not the correct choice for America. Energy.gov in 2020 showed that coal, oil, and natural gas produce so much greenhouse gas emissions and makes the other sources of energy appear negligible. Here, it shows that natural gas runs at max capacity for 56.6% of the year, and coal runs at 40.2% max capacity for the year. This means that for about half of the year, these fossil fuel energy sources only produce their maximum energy for only half of the year. Now, fossil fuels also have a waste that isn't containable. This means that the waste from fossil fuels goes straight up into the atmosphere and sometimes into our lungs and can be very harmful. Now, for fossil fuels, there's also a large threat of us running out. Med.com projects that in this graph that we have approximately 139 years in our coal storages, 54 years in our oil storages, and 49 years in our gas storages. This graph shows the top 10 causes of death in the world, and there number 4 is air pollution, with 6.67 million deaths associated with air pollution. Now, more specifically, Statista.com explains that 63,300 Americans died in 2021 due to air pollution. Now, there are so many horrible things about fossil fuels, we may sound doomed, but don't worry, I know a solution. Climate scientist James Hansen said, "We have to use all the things at our disposal, and clearly nuclear power has tremendous potential to be a big part of this solution." I believe that we need to change the majority of our energy sources in America to nuclear energy. Nuclear energy runs at 92% max capacity for the year, meaning that for almost the entire year, nuclear energy provides the maximum amount of energy for the American citizen. According to scientificamerican.com, we have around 1,000 years of uranium stores. because there's a new way to harvest uranium from ocean water. Although it is expensive, it'll be very rare that we'll run out. We can also separate the plutonium from already spent low enriched uranium, meaning that we can recycle the uranium that we use in these reactors. And we can use these fast breed reactors that actually produce more uranium than is spent. Meaning that it's very unlikely to run out of this source of energy. But not only that, nuclear energy produces zero greenhouse gas emissions and zero air particulates. Now, some of y'all may be scared, and if y'all look at a nuclear energy power plant, you see that large cloud coming out of the top. But luckily, that's all it is. It's just a cloud of water vapor. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Lastly, nuclear energy is the only non-renewable energy source that has a containable waste. Meaning that instead of this waste going up in the atmosphere, into our lungs, and harming our planet, this waste can be stored in barrels and stored safely underground, giving off minimum contamination to us and the environment. Now, nuclear energy is incredibly efficient. As a matter of fact, uranium about the size of a Coke can provide energy for one person for their whole lifetime. And one nuclear power plant can provide the same amount of energy as 3 natural gas plants. Life with nuclear energy means a safer and better life for your kids in America. Now, in conclusion, nuclear energy is almost 3 times as effective as fossil fuels. It emits 0 air particulates and greenhouse gases, and it is needed as a sustainable energy source for a healthier planet. I believe that America should make the switch from having its main source of energy as fossil fuels to nuclear energy as soon as possible. Lastly, I urge you all to sign this petition for nuclear energy and for a better future for America. Thank you all so much for listening.